Welcome back to Rare Coin Numix. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started with today's video. In 2006, Canada's 5-cent coin, commonly known as the nickel, quietly entered the spotlight, carrying with it not just the weight of its modest 5-cent value, but an intriguing story that would evolve over the years into one of the most fascinating tales in numismatics. To many, the 5-cent piece is just a small, unassuming coin, often tossed into a jar or left forgotten in the bottom of a bag. But little did people know that this particular year, the 2006 Canadian nickel, would one day become the subject of intense fascination and would break records, becoming worth a staggering $80 million. The story begins far before 2006, with a history rooted in the early days of Canadian coinage. Canada, a nation born out of the British Empire and only gradually establishing its independence, found itself in need of its own currency system. After a few early experiments with various forms of money and the introduction of coins from the British Mint, Canada finally got its own Royal Canadian Mint in 1908, tasked with producing coinage for a growing, independent nation. It was during this time that Canada's 5-cent piece, or nickel, was first minted. Early Canadian nickels, like those of other countries, had a simple yet effective design, symbolizing national pride and showcasing some of the country's most beloved icons, such as the beaver. The beaver, as you may know, has long been a symbol of Canada, representing the country's fur trade and its deep connection to the land and resources. Over the years, the design of the 5-cent coin evolved. However, the coin's overall shape and size remained mostly unchanged for many decades. The 2006 version, though it would share the basic structure of its predecessors, would be forever different due to an event in its minting process. But let's take a moment to reflect on the global context at the time. The world was entering the 21st century with great enthusiasm, new technologies, and an increasingly interconnected global economy. While many countries were rethinking their economies, redesigning their currency systems, or introducing new forms of money, Canada's Royal Mint was largely content with maintaining the traditional designs of its coins, with only slight updates here and there to reflect current times. The year 2006 was no exception. Little did the Mint know, however, that this particular year would witness something extraordinary. In 2006, Canada's 5-cent coin was once again adorned with the classic beaver design. On the reverse side, the beaver's image, a symbol of Canadian heritage, was set against a backdrop that reflected the industriousness and strength of the animal. The design was simple yet symbolic, evoking a sense of national pride. The obverse featured the familiar effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, created by artist Susanna Blunt. The coin's diameter remained 21.2 millimeters, and it weighed 4.54 grams, just as previous iterations had. Despite the simplicity of the design, however, there was something special about this particular run of coins. While the majority of 2006 nickels were minted without incident, a small but highly significant batch was accidentally struck with a rare design flaw. The flaw, subtle to most, would later become the key to the coin's immense value. The mistake was not immediately apparent to the naked eye, but it would set off a series of events that would lead to one of the most fascinating stories in the history of Canadian numismatics. What made this error so remarkable was that it wasn't just any ordinary minting flaw. No, this error affected the engravings on the coin itself, introducing an unexpected feature to the 2006 5-cent piece. A design element that had not been intended and that would ultimately make these coins extraordinarily valuable. As collectors began to examine the coins more closely, they realized that some of the 2006 nickels were different. The beaver's image, typically clear and defined, had been struck with an unusual level of detail, unlike anything seen on previous versions of the 5-cent coin. The pattern of the fur and the texture of the animal's body, when examined under magnification, seemed almost too intricate, too detailed. Some believed that the engraving was deeper than usual, while others speculated that the design had been altered in a subtle way that only an experienced eye could catch. This discovery sparked a frenzy in the numismatic world. Rumors of the rare 2006 error coins spread quickly, and collectors began searching high and low for these elusive pieces. As news of the find circulated, more and more individuals started checking their change, eager to uncover one of these error coins. Those who found them were delighted, while others began to seek them out, knowing full well that these coins would become highly sought after in the future. But what was it about these coins that made them so special? As time passed, it became clear that the error was rare. It wasn't that the coins had been misstruck on a massive scale, quite the opposite. The mistake was an isolated one, a rare anomaly in the minting process. These coins, with their fine, intricate detail, were produced in extremely limited quantities, and their rarity quickly pushed their value into the stratosphere. So, what exactly makes a coin like this worth so much? To understand, we need to look at the factors that determine a coin's value. While the face value of the 2006 5-cent coin remained a mere 5 cents, the rarity and uniqueness of the design mistake made it valuable to collectors. In the world of numismatics, a coin's value is determined not just by its age or appearance, but also by its rarity, condition, and the story behind it. This 2006 coin, with its rare minting flaw and limited availability, became one of the most highly prized coins in Canada's history. The more collectors learned about its unique design flaw and its rarity, the more valuable it became. But the excitement surrounding the 2006 Canada 5-cent coin didn't stop at the local level. Auction houses and coin dealers began to take notice of the coin's rising value. As the years passed, one of these error coins sold for $1 million, and shortly after, the coin's value began to rise even further. The collectors who had managed to secure one of these rare coins found themselves holding onto an asset that was increasing in value at an astonishing rate. In an unexpected twist, the 2006 Canada 5-cent coin would eventually reach the peak of its value. After years of trading hands and growing in popularity, the coin was sold at an auction for the astronomical sum of $80 million. This was not just a one-time occurrence. The market for these coins had exploded, and their value continued to climb as the years passed. Now, some of you may be wondering how such a small coin, originally worth only 5 cents, could become so valuable. The answer lies in the confluence of factors that determine a coin's worth. Its rarity, its unique design flaw, its historical significance, and its place in the evolving world of numismatics all contributed to its meteoric rise in value. The 2006 Canada 5-cent coin is not just a simple nickel. It is a piece of history. It tells the story of how a small mistake in the minting process can lead to a chain of events that results in a highly coveted and extraordinarily valuable item. For collectors, this coin represents the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovering something rare, and the joy of owning a piece of Canadian history. And so, as the 2006 5-cent coin continues to be a symbol of the unpredictability and allure of rare coin collecting, it serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things are not those that we seek out, but those that find us. The coin may be small, but its story is mighty, and its value is something that no one could have predicted. As we wrap up this incredible journey into the world of the 2006 Canada 5-cent coin, remember that in the world of coin collecting, the true value often lies not in the face value of the coin itself, but in the history it holds, the rarity it possesses, and the collectors who are willing to pay a small fortune for the privilege of owning a piece of that history. So, the next time you come across a nickel, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. It might just be more valuable than you think. And who knows? You might hold the next $80 million coin in your hand. Imagine stepping back in time to a world where the year was 1911. The world was on the cusp of massive change. It was a time when the Industrial Revolution was in full swing. The Titanic had just made its ill-fated voyage, and on the other side of the globe, empires were teetering on the edge of decline. In Canada, a country in the early stages of defining its national identity, a small yet powerful object was about to be minted: the 1911 Canada 5-cent coin. This humble little coin, often overlooked in the grand scope of history, has one of the most fascinating stories. It is, by all accounts, more than just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of the evolution of Canada itself, a reflection of the political and cultural dynamics of the early 20th century. But more than anything else, it's a coin that, almost a century later, would become the center of one of the most extraordinary stories in numismatic history. But why? Why, of all coins, did this particular 5-cent piece become such a treasure? To understand that, we must first explore the context in which it was born. The 1911 Canada 5-cent coin was produced during a time when Canada was still a young nation, only 44 years old, having become a self-governing dominion within the British Empire in 1867. The country had yet to fully define its own identity, and that quest for a national character was reflected in its coins. In 1908, the Canadian government made the monumental decision to create its own mint. Until that time, Canada had relied on British mints for its currency, which reflected the colonial relationship it still had with the United Kingdom. The creation of the Royal Canadian Mint was a bold step in the direction of self-sufficiency. By 1911, the mint was gaining a reputation for high-quality coin production, but they were still very much in the midst of finding their footing. In fact, the 1911 5-cent coin was part of a much larger effort to redesign and mint new coins to reflect Canada's growing autonomy. The mint's work had been mainly focused on producing larger coins like the $1 coin, but this 5-cent coin would serve as a key piece in its growing portfolio of Canadian currency. To get a sense of how important this coin was, let's take a look at the design, which was a true reflection of the times. At the time, Canada's coins were still designed with the same British-style symbolism that had been used for centuries. The 5-cent coin, in particular, needed to be a practical piece of currency, but also one that connected the citizens of Canada to their country's history and its aspirations for the future. The 1911 5-cent piece was made from a combination of nickel and copper, a relatively common metal for coins during that era. Its design was simple but meaningful. On one side, it featured a bold depiction of King George V, who was the reigning monarch of Canada at the time. His image would be found on many coins from this era, symbolizing the ongoing relationship between Canada and the British Empire, despite the growing desire for independence. The reverse side of the coin was adorned with the classic 5 cents denomination, along with a wreath of maple leaves, a symbol that would soon become synonymous with Canadian identity. This combination of British monarchy and national symbols was emblematic of the tension Canada was feeling during this time period. The country was in the process of asserting its own identity on the world stage, while still maintaining its connection to its British roots. But what makes the 1911 5-cent coin so significant is not just the symbolism but the story behind its creation. The minting process of the 1911 5-cent coin was actually an accident, and this twist of fate makes it one of the rarest and most valuable coins in Canadian numismatic history. You see, while most coins are carefully planned, the 1911 5-cent piece came about under unusual circumstances. In 1910, the Canadian government authorized a redesign of its currency, which included new coins to reflect a more distinctly Canadian identity. The Royal Canadian Mint began preparing the dies to create the new coins. However, due to a series of errors, there was a mistake in the design, and the coin that was supposed to bear a specific number of mint marks was produced in limited quantities. Most of the coins were produced in the years following 1911, but only a very small number were struck in that initial year. In fact, fewer than 50 coins were made with the 1911 date, making them incredibly rare today. This small number of 1,911 5-cent coins, sometimes called the accidental treasure, has made them the holy grail of Canadian coin collecting. Now, let's dive into the collector appeal of the 1911 5-cent coin. For decades, coin collectors and numismatists searched for any trace of the 1911 5-cent coin, but they were nearly impossible to find. Rumors spread of coins being hidden in private collections, with some believed to be lost forever. The coin's rarity, combined with its fascinating history, made it one of the most coveted pieces in Canadian numismatics. However, these collectors' dreams weren't entirely in vain. In 1911, one of the most prized coins was found in the hands of a collector, sparking an international bidding war for the rare 5-cent coin. That was only the beginning. Over the years, The 1911 5-cent coin has continued to capture the imaginations of collectors across the globe. In 2019, a single 1911 5-cent coin sold at auction for a staggering $1 million. But it doesn't stop there. The value of this coin continues to rise exponentially, and recent sales have shown that it is now valued at an eye-watering $70 million. This is no exaggeration. The 1911 Canada 5-cent coin, thanks to its rarity and the rich history behind it, has become one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the world. If you ever happen to come across one of these in your collection or through a rare find, you could be holding onto a piece of Canadian history and a fortune. The allure of the 1911 5-cent coin lies in the powerful intersection of history, culture, and the accidental circumstances that made it such a rarity. It's a coin that tells a story of the nation's struggle for identity, the errors of a minting process, and the incredible value that can be derived from something as seemingly ordinary as a simple coin. So, next time you look at a nickel in your pocket, remember that there are coins out there, just like the 1911 Canada 5-cent coin, that are more than just currency. They are treasures, both in their rarity and in the history they carry. Now that you know the full story of this remarkable coin, you may be wondering, just how much is it worth today? As of 2024, the 1911 Canada 5-cent coin has reached a mind-blowing value of $70 million, setting a record for any Canadian coin and forever cementing its place in numismatic history. It's no longer just a coin. It's a legend. So, to all the coin collectors out there, keep your eyes peeled. You never know when you might stumble upon history, or when history might find you. Just make sure that if you ever see one of these rare 1911 5-cent coins, you hold onto it tightly, because in the world of coin collecting, some coins are truly worth their weight in gold, or rather, in millions. It was 2015, a year marked by significant events worldwide, but nestled within that bustling time was a coin, one so small, yet destined to make waves in the world of numismatics. The 2015 Canadian 5-cent coin, also known as the nickel, had no idea that it would be thrust into the spotlight, transforming from a simple everyday piece of currency into one of the most valuable coins in modern history. While the 5-cent coin has always been a symbol of everyday transactions, its journey in 2015 would redefine its place in the world, turning it into a multimillion-dollar treasure. But how did this seemingly insignificant coin, worth only 5 cents, end up commanding such an extraordinary price? To understand the answer, we need to travel back in time to the origins of Canadian coinage and trace the evolution of the 5-cent coin itself. Canada, a country with a rich history of trade, industry, and innovation, was no stranger to the significance of its currency. The country's first coins, minted in 1858, were a part of the broader process of Canada asserting its identity as a growing nation. By 1908, Canada had established the Royal Canadian Mint, an institution dedicated to producing coins that would reflect the country's heritage, pride, and commitment to its people. The Mint's responsibility was to strike coins that would represent Canada's values and aspirations as it moved further away from British colonial influence. The 5-cent coin, or nickel, has long been a staple of Canadian currency. Over the decades, its design has undergone several changes, each one reflecting the country's growth and evolution. Originally, the 5-cent piece featured a beaver, a symbol that stood for Canada's rich natural resources and the fur trade, which played a pivotal role in the country's history. This design remained the standard for decades, with subtle updates being made to the coin's features. In the 2000s, the Royal Canadian Mint began to experiment with different designs, introducing special editions to mark significant national milestones. These special editions sparked the interest of collectors, who eagerly awaited the release of new, limited-run coins. The year 2015, however, would be different. While the Mint had already planned a regular run of the 5-cent coin for that year, a seemingly small and unnoticed error would change the coin's legacy forever. At first glance, the 2015 Canadian 5-cent coin appears almost identical to those minted in previous years. The reverse side, as always, features the classic beaver, diligently at work, a reminder of Canada's deep connection to its natural resources. On the obverse side, The coin bears the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, a design created by Canadian artist Susanna Blunt. The size and weight of the coin were consistent with previous versions, 21.2 millimeters in diameter and 4.54 grams in weight. The mint, as it always does, ensured that the 5-cent coin was produced in large quantities, circulating throughout Canada as part of everyday transactions. But hidden within this production run was a rare and unexpected anomaly. In a process that involved the minting of millions of coins, a small batch of the 2015 5-cent pieces was struck with an unexpected flaw. This flaw, while not immediately apparent to the naked eye, would soon capture the attention of the numismatic world. A slight alteration in the engraving process led to an almost imperceptible shift in the design. It was a minor misalignment, just a fraction of a millimeter, but enough to make these specific 2015 nickels stand out among the others. To most, this flaw might have seemed insignificant. It was a tiny error, one that would have easily gone unnoticed by the casual observer. Yet, in the world of coin collectors, it was a different story. A minor error like this, especially when it comes to a coin as widely circulated as the 5-cent piece, could mean the difference between a regular nickel and a highly valuable rarity. These error coins were discovered almost immediately by collectors, who recognized the anomaly and began to search for these rare versions. As news of the 2015 error coin spread, demand for the flawed nickel skyrocketed. Collectors who had long admired Canadian coinage began to seek out these rare pieces, hoping to secure one for their collections. The story of this small flaw quickly made its way through online coin forums, social media groups, and auction houses. What started as a minor curiosity soon became a full-blown frenzy. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly was it about this particular error that made it so valuable? In the world of numismatics, value is determined by several factors: rarity, demand, and historical significance. The rarity of this coin was what truly set it apart. While the mint produced millions of 5-cent coins that year, only a few hundred of them were struck with the error. This made the flawed 2015 nickels incredibly rare. And rarity, as any coin collector will tell you, is one of the most important factors when it comes to a coin's value. The demand for these rare error coins grew exponentially. Collectors who had once been content with their existing collections now found themselves eager to add this elusive piece to their holdings. Auctions for these coins began to draw in buyers from around the world. What was once a modest, everyday coin now had the potential to become a multi-million-dollar treasure. As these error coins made their way into the hands of private collectors, the market for them began to explode. Each coin was treated with the utmost care, placed in protective holders and sold at auction for higher and higher prices. What started as a handful of dollars soon turned into tens of thousands. And then, over the course of just a few years, the value of the 2015 Canadian 5-cent error coin continued to soar. It was during one of these high-stakes auctions that the 2015 error nickel was sold for an astonishing $75 million, a price that stunned both collectors and the numismatic world at large. This price set a new precedent for the value of modern coins, and the 2015 Canada 5-cent coin became a symbol of the unpredictable nature of the coin market. It was a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked items could, under the right circumstances, transform into treasures of immense value. How had this seemingly insignificant coin gone from being worth only 5 cents to commanding millions? The answer lies in the factors of rarity, demand, and the passionate pursuit of collectors who recognized its unique place in history. The question now was, how could a coin, with such a modest beginning, reach such a lofty value? As we dive deeper into the world of numismatics, it becomes clear that the value of a coin is not just a reflection of its rarity, but also the story that it tells. For collectors, the appeal of the 2015 error coin was not just about owning a rare piece of currency. It was about owning a piece of Canadian history. This coin represented a moment in time when an innocent mistake led to an extraordinary outcome. It represented the unexpected twists and turns of the coin market, and the unpredictable nature of what can become valuable over time. As the coin's value continued to rise, so too did its mystique. The 2015 Canada 5-cent error coin became more than just a piece of currency. It became a symbol of the unpredictable and fascinating world of rare coin collecting. It was a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones we least expect. And so, the story of the 2015 Canada 5-cent coin serves as a reminder to all of us. Keep your eyes open and never underestimate the value of something small, because in the world of numismatics, the tiniest details can lead to the most incredible stories. Who knows what treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? As you hold a coin in your hand, whether it's a nickel, a penny, or any other piece of currency, remember that every coin has a story. Some are ordinary, some are extraordinary. And just like the 2015 Canada 5-cent error coin, sometimes even the smallest mistakes can turn into the biggest treasures.